Okay, well, we've just, I think, been treated to 5 superb presentations. So first, on behalf of the faculty, I want to thank everybody for doing a great job. And I also want to thank the faculty for obviously doing a great job in advising you. So thank you, faculty. What was interesting in some of the questions that just came up on this last issue is it actually made me think a little bit about the exercise itself and why we do things this way. That is, why are we taking statutes and why are we focusing on implementation issues? So let me describe that for you a little bit, because it's one of the takeaways I hope you are taking away from the last 2 semesters. Many environmental studies programs and people focusing on the environment like to talk about what should happen and what's wrong with what is happening, but don't focus a lot of attention on what could happen and what's feasible. And this is an exercise in feasibility. So yes, we're limited to what's in the statutes. The statutes don't deal with some of the fundamental issues that all of us would like to see them deal with, but that's the world that we live in. In fact, moving progress toward environmental sustainability is often a matter of 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Certainly, Vice President Cheney's involvement in keeping the chemicals in hydrofracking from becoming public was a real step backward in terms of transparent policymaking. On the other hand, an act like this FRAC Act would be a step in the other direction. So very often that's part of what we try to do. The other point here is to focus on 2 critical issues over the course of the past 2 semesters. One is communicating the complexity of the scientific issues. So our entire summer was spent explaining to non-scientific decision makers the science of the problem and the potential solution in our bills. Learning about that science ourselves, but also learning how to explain it to people that don't know much about science. We, for better or worse, live in a society that's governed by people who are scientific illiterates, people largely with MBAs and law degrees who haven't had science since high school. And so we have a civilizing mission to the lawyers and the MBAs to bring some of this knowledge to bear on decision making. That's one part. And then this semester, the focus on implementation. I guarantee you no environmental policy program in the United States is worrying about how many FTEs it's going to take to implement a program in the way that all of you did, or worrying about the ramping up of a new program. But when you go out into the world as a professional and have to do this work, that's what you think about. You think about, how do I get somebody to do this work? What kind of people do I need? How do I pay for it? What kind of movement is feasible? Now, there are a lot of political forces out there on, say, the fracking issue that are very eager to get that gas out of the ground. And you know, there's actually some compelling environmental reasons to use gas as opposed to coal. In this part of New York City, for example, one of the things that the city is involved in is helping places like Columbia University stop using really filthy oil in our burners and replacing it with natural gas. Well, that natural gas has to come from someplace. And so it's going to be a long way from where we are now to a renewable energy economy. And those things, again, are going to be a matter of a couple of steps forward and hopefully only 1 step back. So that's a lot of what we focused on. The other thing, of course, that we focused on over the past 2 semesters is working as teams. I have to say that from the faculty perspective, it's kind of thrilling to see the way that you work together. The fact that not everybody gets along with everybody all the time, but these are remarkably productive groups. The presentations that you saw today, I would hold against any professional presentation on these subjects that you would see presented in the Environmental Protection Agency or by some of the high-priced consultants that we end up buying and some of you will end up working for. These were superb pieces of work, and the reports that I've been reading are equally superb. And they're focusing on issues that a lot of people tend to ignore, which are the nuts and bolts the nitty-gritty work of making change happen. And so it's not that I want you to give up your principles and your ideals and your vision, because frankly, I think those are what bring us all here together. But we also have to start understanding what it takes to make the world work and to move these processes along. And that's a lot of what I just saw. So again, I want to congratulate all of you in really a superb set of briefings. We are now starting to assemble the data from your preferences for what kind of projects you want in the spring semester, where we get out of the simulated laboratory of the fall and summer workshop and start doing projects for nonprofits and government agencies, which I think will be tremendously exciting, and I'm looking forward to. So you'll be hearing the results of your own survey soon, and the faculty for next semester will be taking those results and starting to knock on some doors and identifying projects. So with that, I want to thank you again and look forward to next semester.